The first thing I heard was the laughter. It wasn't the light-hearted giggle of a child, but this broken, guttural chuckle that just dragged itself through the air like rusted nails on a coffin lid. It echoed from the shadows of my small apartment, which was terrifying because I lived alone. I shot up in bed, every single hair on my body standing on end, my eyes darting toward the old toy box in the corner. That box had been with me since I was a kid in old cedar chest my mother gave me before she died. I hadn't opened it in years. But tonight, I swear, I saw the lid shift, just a tiny bit, as if something inside had moved. My name is Ryan. I'm 25, a college dropout, working soul-crushing night shifts at a security firm. I live in a run-down, one-bedroom apartment on the east side of the city. And I'm about to tell you something that I know you won't believe. It all started 3 nights ago. The cedar chest has been a fixture in my life since I was little. My mom used to store all my toys in it, but her warnings about it were always strange. Don't ever talk to the red-haired doll, she used to whisper, her voice low and serious. If he ever talks back, run. I always just thought it was one of her creepy superstitions. She'd grown up on ghost stories, and sometimes she let them bleed into her parenting. For years, I just laughed it off. But when she passed away last year, something about those words stuck with me. When I moved into my own place, I couldn't bring myself to throw the chest away. It felt like the last piece of her eye had left. That night, when I heard the laugh, I forced myself out of bed. The air in the room was cold, way colder than it should have been, and a shiver crawled right up my spine. My bare feet felt clammy, sticking slightly to the warped floorboards as I slowly, hesitantly, walked toward the box. My hand was shaking as I reached out. The lid let out this long, slow creak when I pushed it open. Inside were the dusty remnants of my childhood, a few plastic dinosaurs, some chipped Hot Wheels, a tangled mess of action figures. And there, at the very bottom, lying face up in the pale moonlight filtering through my window, was the one toy I had always avoided. The doll. Bright red hair, a pale, freckled face, and stitched-up denim overalls. Its eyes were wide open, glassy, and an unsettlingly bright blue, staring straight up at me with a grin that was just a little too sharp, a little too knowing. Chucky. Instantly, a flood of memories hit me. I remembered all those nights, as a kid, lying awake in bed, absolutely convinced I could hear whispering coming from the corner of my room. I remembered the times I would beg my mom to take the doll away, to get rid of it, but she always said the same thing, her face grim. You can't get rid of him, he always comes back. Back then, I thought she was just humoring me, playing along with my childhood fears. But now, kneeling over that box in the dead of night, I couldn't ignore the way the doll's lips seemed. Stretch, like that plastic smirk, was alive and growing. I tried to rationalize it. It's just stress, I told myself, lack of sleep. Too many late shifts messing with my head. I pushed the heavy lid shut and even tried to let out a little laugh at myself for being so paranoid. But then I heard it again, a whisper. Close. Way too close. Right behind me. Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? My entire body went rigid. I spun around so fast I almost lost my balance, my eyes scanning every single shadow in the room. The TV screen was a black mirror. The refrigerator hummed faintly from the kitchenette. But the air felt wrong. It was heavy, oppressive, like the room itself was holding its breath, waiting. I didn't answer. I didn't titter it. To move. Then came the sound that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Bater, bater, bater. The distinct sound of small, plastic feet scurrying across the wooden floorboards. I froze for a second, my mind refusing to process what I was hearing. My bed was maybe 6 feet away. I didn't think. I just reacted. He dove for it, yanked the thin sheets over my entire body like I was 5 years old again. My heart pounding so hard I could hear the blood roaring in my ears. Then, silence. A long, dragging silence that felt heavier than any sound. And then giggle. A child's giggle, twisted and cruel, coming from the foot of my bed. Right there. By the time the sun came up, I had convinced myself it hadn't happened. It couldn't have. Sleep deprivation can do some really weird things to your mind. Hallucinations, paranoia. It had to be. That to prove to myself that it was all in my head, I went to the cedar chest. I was going to open it, see the doll right where I left it, and laugh this whole thing off. But when I lifted the lid, my stomach dropped into my feet. The doll wasn't there. I tore my apartment apart looking for it. I checked the closet, the bathroom, under the couch, behind the fridge. Nothing. It was gone. That night, at work, I couldn't shake the creeping sense of dread. Every shadow on the security cameras seemed deeper, darker, like it was hiding something. Then, at exactly 3:07 a.m., while checking the feeds, I saw something that made my blood run cold. It was the feed from my own apartment, the cheap camera ID, hooked up for some extra peace of mind. The image flickered, and for just a second, I saw movement. The cedar chest. The lid was opening, and a small, plastic hand was pushing it up from the inside. I practically sprinted home from my shift. The moment I got back to my apartment at dawn, the air stank of mildew and something else. Something metallic, like iron. The cedar chest was wide open and sitting dead center on the floor, in a patch of pale, sickly sunlight, was Chucky. This time, his grin was wider, unnaturally wide, and in his tiny, cloth hands, smeared across the fingers, was something dark red. Blood, not mine, not yet. But I knew, deep down in my gut, that it was a warning. That terrible guttural laugh echoed again, but this time it was bouncing around inside my skull. And in that moment, I finally realized the terrifying truth. My mother's warnings weren't just superstitions. The doll wasn't just a toy, and something inside it had been waiting for years, waiting for me to be alone. And now, Chucky was awake. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any stories of your own, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. Stay safe out there.